Welcome back, and joining us now on the show is Andrew Green. He's Executive Director at International Zinc Association. Andrew, hi, good to have you. First of all, on the all kind of data that the markets really seem to be, getting impacted from, this week is all about the US Fed meeting, and we've seen some support come in for many of these metals, including zinc, which, by the way, is trading at an 8-week highs right now. How would you look at the macros? What's your sense from the global central banks and sense of rate cuts?
Right. I think well, first of all, I want to say thanks and good to see you again, Manisha. The macros right now are definitely providing a good headwind or support for the zinc industry. As you said, the U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to lower the rates, which will certainly provide a boost to the economic situation in the United States, which has been doing well this year already. Added to that, you've got a tightening of the zinc concentrate market, which is causing a reduction in the zinc production overall, and that's certainly boosting the prices higher.
Andrew, how are you looking at the demand picking up? Because on one side, the support is from the decline in dollar and the rate cuts. But on the other side, every single China data that we have seen come in, right from property to employment to retail sales to production numbers, has been on the weaker side. How do you see a balance between these two fundamentals?
Right. From the demand side, we have some very exciting initiatives and indications about movement there. So on the infrastructure side, zinc, for example, in the United States, you've got a 10% increased expectation for zinc and galvanizing. And that's having to do with the IRA Act that's gone into infrastructure. In India, we've seen a lot of investment from the government in infrastructure. And again, zinc is needed to protect that steel from corrosion, which reduces the long-term costs, increase sustainability and safety. And then also in energy and transition, we're expecting an increase in the next 4 to 5 years of an additional 700,000 tons of zinc going for galvanized structures and solar panels and batteries, also zinc going to protect steel and windmills. So that's a very positive movement for the market from that side, as well as automotive. If you look at what's happening here in India with Suzuki Maruti switching to galvanized steel. Also in China, we've got movement there, companies switching to galvanized steel. We're expecting and forecasting an increase of 140,000 tons in the automotive market by the year 2030. So combined, that's 1 million tons expected increased demand for zinc in the next just short period of time.
Andrew, there is, if you look at the international zinc and lead group, they still are talking about a slight surplus into this year. How are you reading those numbers, and how do you see that balance between global production and consumption numbers going forward?
Right. Well, right now what's happening is there is a tightening of the concentrate supply. We're seeing that in China. We're seeing that in other parts of the world. And as a result, there's going to be less zinc metal being produced. And that's going to cause a tightening in the overall supply side of things. So when you combine that with the increased demand, we're very bullish on where we're headed with the zinc price.
Andrew, while you said you're bullish in prices, what is your sense? Because in this year until now, well, we are up by nearly 10 to 11% for the zinc prices. The expectation being that the rest of the months of this year would be on the positive side as well. But going forward, how are you putting your forecast on zinc prices, let's say until the first quarter of 2025?
Well, I'll stay away from predicting a price itself. I'll let the analysts do that. But I will say, again, if you look at the supply side, what's happening there with the tightening of the concentrates, as well as demand, increased use of zinc in infrastructure, in automotive, and in energy transition, we certainly expect in the short term and the medium term for the price to stay steady or increasing in the short period of time ahead.
All right. Andrew, you are in Udaipur right now, and there's a lot happening in zinc. What are you guys exactly discussing on?
Yes, we've got companies from all over the world, 21 different countries coming here this week in Udaipur, India. And Hindustan Zinc is the host company for this event. It's called Zinc College. And we are talking about the very things that you and I are talking about right now, the exciting initiatives underway for zinc, the market situation, zinc being used in galvanizing, infrastructure, automotive, and all these different things. So it's a great a networking opportunity for companies from around the world to learn about these different aspects, but also to learn and knowledge share on what's happening in the zinc market.
So, Andrew, when we look at demand, and you expect the demand in US and India to gain up, how are you looking at the European demand? So when you look at various geographies in that sense, where do you see better demand coming from?
Yes, I would certainly highlight the US for increasing, India for increasing. In Europe, certain countries are having a little bit more of economic difficulties. Germany would be one of those, and a few others. So I think at best it might stay steady or slightly decrease in Europe, but that will be certainly offset by what's happening in India and United States. China, it really depends on what happens with the government investment. There's been discussions of them adding more investment into the housing and infrastructure there, so we'll have to see what happens in that case.
Well, yes, there's lots to watch out for, but as you said, the prices can expect to have some more bullish run-up from here with the kind of concentrate shortage that we have seen coming up. Andrew, as always, thank you so much for joining us and putting light on what's really happening with the zinc as an industry. With that, it's a wrap on Halftime Report. Business Lunch will take all the action ahead.